know, I think it's a really, really good question that I've been asked from a young athlete. The question that I was asked was, how do I find my position on the starting line? I think that's a bloody good question, for the simple fact that how do you know? You know, I pretty much learned my position through trial and error, and typically that is the only logical answer I can give to you. You just got to find what position works for you, that's going to be effective for you, that's going to enable you to get out the blocks and execute your job as good as possible. The blocks are a very, very useful tool in this modern age of sprinting. However, try not to get into a mindset of being totally reliant upon it. I want you to do some research. I want you to look at some of the greats, not including myself, I'm blowing my own horn here, but not including myself, but I want you to look at Moscow, Usain Bolt versus Gatlin. He didn't get out the blocks very well. If you notice in his semi-final when his block slipped and he had to run down Andre DeGrasse and those guys, he wasn't the greatest out the blocks, he never has been, barring his Beijing runs, Berlin runs. Those, he was on fire, so I can't even fault the kid on that. However, you look back at Atlanta 1996, Donovan Bailey wasn't the greatest out the blocks. You look back at Tokyo 1991, Carl Lewis wasn't the greatest out the blocks. You look back at when Tyson Gray in Shanghai ran 969, he wasn't the greatest out the block. You look back at Johan Blake when he ran 969, he was not the greatest out the blocks. However, you have exceptions. Yourself Powers, who routinely have consistency with their starts, and he maximizes it. However, if you're not the greatest starter, if you are not the strongest in the blocks, it's not the end of the world. You have 100 meters to run, or 200, or 110, or 100 hurdles. You know, the list goes on, or 400. You have time. You have a distance that needs to be covered in X amount of time. So just because the first part doesn't go well, doesn't necessarily mean the end part's not going to go well. Have faith and have confidence in what you're doing. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Improve your weaknesses as best as they can be, but they don't have to be to a point where you're stressing out about it. It's not the end of the world. Use these blocks. Yes, use them. They help. They give you a little something. But effectively, these don't train with you. They're a training aid, not a training partner. They don't go through the blood, sweat and tears that you go through, the heartache, the frustration, your annoyance. They're empty. They have no personality. However, do become one with them because they are a part of you. They're an extension of you. They can be very useful and also very detrimental because sometimes these suckers slip. So back to our question. How do I find my position on the start line? There are so many different methods that I've seen over my career. I've trained with so many coaches. Hence why I feel confident and obligated to be delivering this information. There's no point me keeping it all cooped up here when people can learn from it. So this is where I'm at. There are so many different methods to this. See, a number of athletes put their feet to the line like this, and you can do that. I've never ever been one for that. Just before jumping ahead, whenever you are getting accustomed to using starting blocks, I would encourage fingers and feet and not tape measure. There will come a stage in your career where you're going to be so reliant upon tape measure and your tape measure is going to be stolen, you're going to lose it, or it's going to malfunction, and then you're going to panic. Unless something real extreme happens, where you're playing Russian roulette with your life and you get your fingers chopped off, you can always rely on your feet and your fingers. They ain't typically going to train. They're not going to malfunction on you, and they'll always be consistent. So get accustomed to getting rid of tape measure and using your God-given tools that are going to help you and keep things flowing more sufficiently. There was a drill that I did see when I was asked to do this, when I was in one of my training groups. My coach said to me, stand here and I'm going to push you. He wanted to observe which was my support foot. So as he pushed me, I naturally landed out with my right. I didn't get it at the time, but as I've gone on in my career, I started to realize, and it was a bit of a contradictory type of approach for me because I'm right side dominant. I do a lot of things on my right. I write with my right hand, I kick with my right, and I'll do, so I'm primarily using the right side. However, I start with my left leg. And for me, I find it's better for me to start with my push with my left and land on my right because it's a stronger leg for me to land on. However, if I tried it the other way and tried to push off my right and land on my left, I don't believe my left leg will be able to cope with the ferocity that my right leg can push. So I've had to take a bit of a compromise and go for a lesser aggressive start with the left just so I can have a firmer support or landing on my right. So with that being the case, the coach stood behind me. I put my feet on the line like this. And he pushed me. Naturally, I stepped here. So with that, I took on the approach that I was going to have my left foot forward, and my right would be my first one on the ground. Then, over a number of different approaches, I've seen coaches tell athletes to put their knees on the line like this. And with me now knowing that my left leg's going to be my driver, I pulled one leg back and then taught myself to get in this position, which then results in that. Another coach has shown me an approach where you have both knees on the ground. This one's somewhat unorthodox, but it puts you in a really, really, really good position. So it is really uncommon, this position. But however, the results give you a neutral position to start with. There are different approaches to this, and you just got to find what works best for you. Typically, I've found, and all blocks vary, but I've typically found that you're about 1.25 foot from the line, based on the base or the head of the block itself. Whenever you're measuring blocks, try to do it in the spike or footwear that you're going to be training in. Even though my spikes are a size 11 and my trainers are a size 11, there is a significant difference. There's a lot more material on these. There's a lot more bulk on these. So the distance in these is going to differ. Everyone's different, but if you can use this as a gauge, then you know you're in good stead. Some people then want to position themselves on the line without the block, just to get a feel of where they want to be and how they're going to approach it. So then what you then do is position the block where your feet were, use that as a gauge. Again, referring back to our principle from session 1, remember how you want your feet to be. Remember, some athletes are really adventurous and have their feet up here. If you're bold enough and brave enough, then go for it.